Good afternoon, runners, and welcome to the NYRR and HSS Race Day Tips and Tricks. My name's Coach Steve, and I'm here with Pam. Guys, well, thanks so much.
I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so we have a race tomorrow. It is tomorrow, not Sunday. A lot of people have been saying to me at the pre-party, like, oh, see you Sunday. Most of it, but it's Saturday tomorrow, guys. So also, if you're watching this, have you not picked up your bib, today is the very last day you can get your race bib. So please head down to Brooklyn Bridge Park, Pier number 2. Just follow all the runners and you'll find it. But there's no race day pickup, so please pick up your race bib now. There's a lot of you guys out there I know who are sitting on your couch waiting to go, so please go now before it gets way too crowded tonight. There are tons of New Balance gear you can pick up. There's some pace bands over there. You can talk to our pacers, our coaches, get all of your questions answered. But right now, we're going to focus on kind of race day tips and tricks, which everyone loves to get some last-minute advice leading into tomorrow's big race. So guys, if you have any questions or shout-outs, let us know where you're watching from. And any questions you have regarding your race tomorrow, put those in the comment section, and we'll take those one by one throughout the chat. But first, Pam, I have a question for you.
Okay.
That question is, so what should we be doing now, the final day before the race, to kind of go into it prepared most week? Because we can't train anyone right now as far as mileage, but we can bring up some confidence or something like that right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the best thing we can do is just appreciate that the work is done. Honestly, you've trained for however long your training cycle was. You put in the miles, you put in the strength training, you put in the foam rolling, hopefully. You've done all the work. So now is really the time to sit back and just reflect on kind of what work you've done that got you to this point. I think it's a great time to look back in your training journal if you have one. Maybe some of those days that the weather was a little different than others. What were you wearing? How did you feel? What did you eat? Like, really reflect on that and strategize what the next 24 hours really looks like for you.
So what does it look like in the morning? So in those start corrals, are there things we should be doing to kind of maybe stay relaxed? Should we be doing strides? Should we be doing warm-up runs? What should we do in those, like, kind of before the race?
Yeah, so what I like to say is what you've been doing before your long runs in the training cycle. If you're someone that knows that you require a little bit extra before a race, you should be doing that. If you want to run a mile, easy. If you're someone that likes to do strides, I mean, everyone should be moving. It's definitely good to keep moving. You don't want to kind of get a little tight and fatigued. But really stick to who you are. You know yourself best. So that's always my #1 tip. And really work on your mental game. Don't get caught up in what other people are doing around you. Don't get caught up in what, the Weather Channel is saying. Like, really just focus on you and what you need at this point.
I love that. So if my co-runner next to me is using these gels I've never had before, I shouldn't use them?
You should not use them.
All right,
Put the gel down.
Yeah, but nothing new in race day, right?
Nothing new on race day. And we've said this for, I've been
years
with
and
you for,
years,
for 6 years. And somehow I still find people that are wearing new clothes, trying new gels. Please, please, please do not try anything new on race day, except for if you're not someone that has used Body Glide before. I would highly recommend that for tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's the one exception.
Yeah.
You can lubricate those areas, or you might chafe.
They will have also some Vaseline body gel at those aid stations, more so the medical stations. So you can, if you need them, you can pull over, put them on, and then continue running, which is important to know along the course. So the horn goes off. We're running our race. Now, talk about visualization. Does it help? How do we visualize? Maybe it also happens at the start. Kind of talk about what that's like for runners, maybe who it's their first. We have a lot of first-time half runners out there, and also maybe those going for PR. How can we use visualization to help us achieve our goals tomorrow?
Yeah, that's something you should be starting now, actually, to be quite honest, is leveraging the coaches that are at bib pickup. No one knows it better than the New York Roadrunner coaches, so grab them, hop into a course strategy session, and really get a sense of what this course is like. We were joking about it before, but it is business in the front, party in the back. But with that said, if you go out too hard or too aggressive, you're going to feel torturous on Ocean Parkway. So really implementing that really strategic plan in terms of, I'm going to be conservative on the front half, I'm going to run the hills the way I know best, really kind of changing my intensity and my pace going up, etc. And then that way I can really dig in kind of the back half of that race. It's a great race to negative split.
Yeah.
As long as it's your day. And also kind of figuring out what plan A, plan B, and plan C is. I'm a big 3 planner.
Love that.
I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Plan A is like that PR race that maybe I've been gunning for, whether it's a PR time, PR, it's my first time doing the distance, like whatever that dream plan is, that's my plan A. Plan B is like, all right, I go in, I show up tomorrow, it's just not feeling like my day. maybe I'm not responding well. What is my new plan going to be?
Lower maybe like 5-10 minutes, your new goal time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And just like maybe I'm going to have fun. Maybe I'm
Yep.
going to count how many high fives I
Yep.
get or how many signs I read. And plan C is like, all right, I'm just going to totally have fun. Maybe I'm going to walk every mile.
Take some pictures.
Take some pictures. If someone's handing out donuts, beer, like
Love
whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever you can do.
Whatever you find on the course. So yeah, I'm a big like A, B, and C, and it is okay to adjust because just know afterwards, all of the work from your training cycle, it's not lost. Like these are all the building blocks that you're putting together for your next race.
Yeah.
So regardless of your performance on race day, your training cycle is going to provide you rewards and get you ready for kind of that next step.
It's that next cycle of stuff. AJ, I want to pop up the course map here for a second. We pull up because Pam, you mentioned something really important is those hills on the course, and we're not going. I don't want to go on a full course strategy here, but we do have some hills early on. So we have these hills starting off. You do have around mile 1. You start out at 150 feet. So going into Prospect Park, you do have some hills, and in Prospect Park, as Pam mentioned, there is that hill around mile 5, which is Battle Pass Hill. Now this is the biggest climb you're going to have throughout the day. It is a kind of false peak, so you're going to make it left, right. That is the biggest climb of the day, and as Pam said, the party in the back is from mile about 7 on to the finish. So go out nice and conservative because you will have some hills early on that you can, if you go out nice and conservative, you will be able to manage those hills. They're all very manageable early on, and it'll save you some energy for the end. It's easier and better confidence to pass people at the end than be passing people at the end. Now, Pam, you did mention the heat. We can take that course map away, AJ. We did mention the heat, and I think if we would be remiss to talk about it. How do we adjust our goals for tomorrow with on average, 7 degrees for a lot of runners will be out there. We haven't ran in these temperatures as most New Yorkers, East Coasters, maybe if you come from Florida, you have. But how do we adjust our goals based off the plan we know now for the weather?
Okay, so the first two things is A, don't get caught up in the highs. Okay, we're not running at the peak of the
90
day.
degrees,
Those temps are later in the day, so please don't.
That's our after party temperatures.
Yes, which is it's a great after party temp.
Beach, ocean.
You're already at the boardwalk.
Yeah.
So it's don't get freaked out about the highs. So that's number one. Number two, make sure you have sun protection. If you're not someone that typically, this is going back, so I guess nothing new on race day with 2 exceptions. Some lubrication and some sun protection. Please make sure you wear some sunblock. Please make sure you have sunglasses or a hat. Because it is going to be, there's going to be sun exposure.
There's Ocean Parkway as well.
There's not a lot of trees on the boardwalk. So those are my 2 big things, first off. Don't stress about the highs. Please make sure you're wearing sun protection because runners are actually very notoriously for not wearing sunscreen. So please, that's a side. But besides that, be really mindful of your effort levels. So hopefully during your training cycle, you've been running maybe more on effort levels than time anyway. So it is really important that maybe you put the watch away and you really are listening to your body cues. I think that's really important for tomorrow. So going in and saying I'm going to run effort level 5, so that's at super long, easy pace. 6 is a little bit harder. 7, you're starting to get kind of uncomfortable. Really hone in on those efforts and not so much what your watch is telling you, because tomorrow, if you're not responding to these temperatures well, it is not the time to push it. So we absolutely need to be listening to our bodies.
And runners, as you're watching this, we will have water and Gatorade stations throughout the course. That is on the course map on the website. You can see where those are. We also have recently added 9 misting stations as well. So those are recently added. So you'll have those throughout the course. It's basically the hose that goes in the air and cools you off as you run. There'll be 9 of those at various parts of the course. And the finish line will also have some really cold towels around your neck or your head. So grab 2, 3 of those to cool that body temperature down when you finish. I also want to, guys, like always, please put questions in the chat. I want to hear from you. But I want to also jump over to, you were at the HSS. Any runners have discomforts right now, maybe the night before or the morning of? How do we really, can we go into the race so confident? Should we pull back? Put weather aside for a second, but how do we adjust? Oh, my calf is just feeling something now. What do we do for some small discomforts?
Yeah, so this is always a tricky question. It is important that we're really honest, again, with how we're feeling. So really get a sense of, is what I'm feeling causing me to change my gait? Am I now altering how I'm walking? Am I trying to offload? That's a red flag that we definitely want to be paying attention to, right? Anything that's changing our gait is going to be detrimental to our race performance, and probably is an indicator of something maybe more significant going on. So that's the biggest thing. If it's changing the way you run, it's probably important that we say, is this really the best decision for my goals going forward? I can tell you it's extremely difficult to change and pull out, but I've done it myself, and it's important to think about not just short-term, but long-term. However, if it's just something that's feeling a little achy, maybe it's a little bit of that phantom pain, you haven't been running as much, do your foam rolling, use, do some of your classic running stretches, and just kind of get a sense of like, is this real or is this just like me being a little less active the past week or two?
Yeah.
But those are like the two big differentiators that I like to use.
I like that. Yeah. So, even with that run, I'm assuming if you're on the race and you're feeling some discomfort, you can pull off the medical aid station. And if it's affecting your gait, that's where you should see the medical statement. And once again, going to the aid station does not mean you're out of the race. They might give you some ice. You might rest for 5 minutes. Like, okay, now I'm feeling better. Or you might or you might have to pull out depending on the injury.
But most of the time, if it's just something a little cranky, you can work through it. But if it's significantly changing your gait, you don't want to create a bigger problem that you're going to have to deal with after.
Yeah. So as we cross the finish line, we've run out 13.1 miles. What do we do to cross the finish line to make sure we recover the best, most efficiently and properly for our next race?
Yeah, so thankfully the New York Roadrunners set us up for success. So make sure that you grab that cool towel, get it around your neck, over your head. Don't worry about the way you look. Just like get it everywhere, particularly neck. Think neck and head. And then after that, using the bag, make sure that you're rehydrating. That's going to be super key. There's typically pretzels and
apples. Okay. It's like a protein supplement in there too. Yeah.
Get the apple and the pretzel in pretty quickly because your body can easily digest the apple. The pretzel is going to give you some of that sodium. So thankfully the tools are there. Yeah. It's just important that you get them and then you start kind of ingesting them and implementing them the best you can. And then you stop by the HSS recovery zone.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so we're going to have a staff of physical therapists, exercise physiologists, and they're going to be there to help you roll out, recover, answer any questions that may have come up during the race. So absolutely stop by and see them. It's a great team, and they are there to support you.
Yeah, runners, like I said, any questions, put them in the chat. And then my final one for you, how do we recover long-term from this? We did HSS Recovery Zone. What's my week look like? The next week, the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, what's my long-term recovery like? When can I start running again? Kind of how does that fit into my long-term training after a hard race like tomorrow?
Yeah, so there's definitely a little personalization into that in terms of like what was your load on a weekly basis kind of going into the race. That actually greatly affects kind of the recovery after. But in general, you should absolutely enjoy your Sunday. Please do not wake up.
Another beach day, right? It's another beach day.
It's going to be 90 again on Sunday. Just take it easy. Enjoy the weekend. And then from there, the next week you can ease into it. Okay. Easy runs only, a little bit of cross training. Definitely make sure that you're doing your foam rolling and your stretching. It's not that you need to take 2-3 weeks off, except for if you have a nagging injury. Then you're going to get that checked out ASAP. But besides that, nice easy runs the following 7-10 days, and then you can start implementing your speed work back. And it's a great opportunity. If you're a runner that's running a marathon this fall, you need to take a little bit of a break. This is your shot because once you're back in it, you're going to be in your next training
16,
cycle.
20 weeks.
Yeah, so definitely be kind, be mindful, keep moving, keep running, easy runs, and really allow almost like that mental break as much as a physical break before you dive into your next training cycle.
And that mental break is key because a lot of times when I finish a hard half, with 30 days, I'm like, 3 days later, I'm good to go. I can run again. I obviously shouldn't, but there's that mental break of following a training plan that you need almost time off from a plan. Even if you're feeling 100%, that time off is because then you burn out, week 16 of the training. That's a long training time, or 20 weeks for a lot of people. And so you get to 12 weeks and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. My motivation's gone. So no training plan for after like a month, 2 months, throughout a year. Spread that out. It's really good and for runners.
1,000%.
Yeah.
It's so key. And we do see it in terms of a late spring marathon and then like an early fall marathon where there's sometimes if people don't take a break, absolutely like you said, kind of that mental burnout, higher risk for maybe like a overuse injury, like take it easy, relax. You know, it's Memorial Day weekend coming up.
Yep.
A great opportunity to enjoy time with others, give yourself kind of that nice reprieve from a intense training cycle.
Yeah. Guys, like I said, any questions, put them in the chat. I think we have one coming through here from a runner. Let's pull it up. What is your advice for shakeout runs a day or two? So we have a day. So maybe talk about shakeout runs, anything tonight, tomorrow. What should we be doing as far as shakeouts?
Yeah, I mean, we're getting with less than 24 hours out from the race. So yeah, you can absolutely do a shakeout run. You know, I like to keep it less than 20 minutes myself. You probably have.
Yeah, I did
rule.
about 2 miles yesterday, but yeah, same.
Less than 20, 2 miles,
Yeah.
somewhere around that, depending on your pace.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just good, again, to dust off any cobwebs. Remember that, yes, you can do it. At the end, maybe a couple strides.
So I was going to say, yeah, strides. Like, this pace isn't hard. You know, I can do this because half marathon pace, I would say, it's not hard. It's just hard for 13 miles. So figuring out what that pace is again, yeah.
So definitely some strides just to be like, yeah, I'm fast, I'm a runner, which will be good. And then, yeah, you're all set, all set for tomorrow.
Great question. Good luck. Let's see. I think we have another one coming in here. Ryan, how much should I adjust my pace for the heat if you've been training in 40 to 50 degree weather? Really good question. You know, my first take, I definitely know you guys say, Pam, you know, look at not so much your pace also tomorrow, look at your effort. So I don't always stick to a number because your number could adjust depending on the weather, depending on your hills and the hills of the course. So look at your effort. You know, keep the first part of the course should be around a 5 or 6. That's a hard part. Prospect Park, you know, you're still getting into it. Even maybe a 5 in the early miles. Look at that effort level, be nice and conservative. Your pace in the first part of this course should be conservative. It should be pedestrian to you. You should be like, I should go faster than this. I'd rather you do that than the other side, which is going on, once again, the fast part of your pace. And then as it gets too hot, you go out too fast and you don't have any energy left for the latter parts of the miles. You know, I ran a marathon once at 80 degrees, and it just feels like a wet blanket was on me. I just felt like my legs couldn't move. The humidity was really high, you know. So look at your effort more than your pace going into tomorrow would be my advice. What about you?
Yeah, no, that's exactly kind of what we were saying earlier, is just almost leave the watch at home if you're someone that is feeling unsure about the weather, and just tune into your body. And almost today, remind yourself of what those effort levels really are defined as. So, you know, you started with the 5s, like, yes, this is easy. It should be easy in those early miles. You should be able to kind of conversate with someone beside you. And then as you go up, like if you're at mile 2 and you're feeling breathless, or you're feeling that you are not going to be able to sustain that for more than another 10 minutes, those are indicators that, like, hey, let's just take a step back. It doesn't mean you have to take a step back for the rest of the race, but you're just going to take a step back and kind of feel your body and where it's at. So that's the other important thing is, you know, we use it a lot, is a mile at a time. So respond to kind of the mile you're in, adjust accordingly, and then just know the next mile is another opportunity. So it's not like, you know, mile 2, if things are kind of going sideways, it doesn't mean the entire race is going to go sideways. It just means that you just need to take a step and listen to your body and pivot for the next mile.
I love that so much. You guys, if you're also looking for someone to help slow you down, you could use the NYRR pace team out there. They're, you know, once again, even if it's not your goal time in your corral, use them to slow you down. It'll prevent you from going out too fast. You know, I'm pacing 2 hours out there. I'm not going out at 9:09. The heat, the crowdedness, you know, so we'll also slow people down in a good way. And then after maybe you leave Prospect Park, you can if we're still too pedestrian for you, you can go a little faster depending on your goals and how you're feeling at that time. So the next question we have, Raj saying, how many carbs do you suggest one eats today, assuming you weigh 150 pounds of body weight?
Yeah, and I mean this totally respectfully, but like, don't do anything different. So whatever you were eating before your long runs is what you should be eating today. And then for your next training cycle, absolutely tune in to like a registered dietitian or a nutritionist because they can look at your sweat rate. They can look at your body weight. You could do a metabolic efficiency test. Like, there's a lot of tools out there, but, you know.
There's no one answer for this. Because someone at 150 could eat X grams and someone else could Y grams, and they're both going to do great, you know. So.
And that's what's kind of cool about metabolic efficiency. We can dive into that another day. But each person uses a different amount of like carb and fat ratio at different intensities. So it's super fun. Feel free to reach out. We can chat on it. But it's not a one answer fits all. So whatever you've been doing that works well,
you need
keep
carbs,
doing it.
so eat them tonight.
You're there.
You know?
You're 24 hours out. Come on, we got this.
Great question, though. Let's see. Next, we have June says, what are your best tips for a first half marathoner? What should I be prepared for in the start curls? Well, maybe each do one quick tip. I mean, you go first. Do you have a quick tip you want to?
Yeah, so I think for tomorrow, a quick tip, kind of weather related, is to freeze like a half a water bottle. So fill it up halfway, freeze it, and then top it off with water in the morning. And kind of bring that with you because you can use it as both like a bit of a cooling and also hydration. So don't freeze the whole thing. I made that mistake once, so then you just have an ice pack. So kind of the half and half is a nice ratio. You could freeze like a wet towel just to kind of, if you're riding the subway, getting to the start. And that would be, I guess, my other tip. Map out your plan getting to the race today. Look at any subway changes, figure out, leave extra time, like really make sure that you know your timeline for tomorrow. Start with kind of when your wave opens and goes off and work your way back. That's kind of how I like to do it because the worst thing you can do is kind of feel overwhelmed in the morning because you're running behind. So those were kind of my tips.
I think those are amazing. Yeah, I'd definitely say plan that. You said plan the start, plan that finish. So where are you going to meet your friends and family? So the finish line has a lot of oversaturation, we call it. So you're on a beach with an ocean next to you. There's usually not much cell phone service already, but now you have 20,000 runners trying to text their friends and family. Hey, I'm done. Where are you, Mom? Because we didn't train for this alone, so people can cheer from you. But figure out where you're going to meet everyone because your cell phone, text, and phone call might not go through. We've had that many years in the past. So we have family reunion at the baseball stadium next to the finish line. But you can also meet on a street corner. You can meet at a coffee shop, a hotel, at the subway entrance, maybe back in the city. Wherever you're going to meet someone, make it plan now because tomorrow after the race, it's going to be too late to make that plan. And then for the runners, if this is your first half marathoner, treat it like an adventure. We mentioned before in the heat, but even if it wasn't hot, I'd say put the watch aside. This is your first half marathon. You only have one first half marathon ever, and make a memory of it. Take those photos, enjoy the course, no matter what the weather is. Because I still remember my first half in 2010. It was hot like it is going to be tomorrow. It was in Queens. It was really hot, but I didn't focus on time. I focused on just how much fun I was going to have, and I'm glad I did something like that. And so I really looked at my watch. Just had a blast out there because you only have one first half. It's first time.
I love that.
Yeah.
My first half was an out and back on like one trail. It was just one road out and back.
6.5 back.
And I still think so fondly on it. It was just fun.
Yeah.
Didn't know what I was doing back then.
Yeah, that's a lot of first times. Mine either. I didn't know.
So you're already better prepared than we are because you're here, you're asking questions, you're getting the right information. So congratulations to everyone, but particularly to the first timers. It's such a special event. It's so fun. I've done it several times. You've probably done it a million times. So we're all cheering for you, and you're going to do great.
Thanks, June. All right, next we have Tony. How should I hydrate between now and race times? Should we use water, electrolytes, something else? What do you say?
Yeah, so we should definitely be hydrating. So we like to say that you want your urine to kind of be a light yellow. So not necessarily clear and definitely not a deep yellow. So a straw yellow-ish, like a light pale yellow. Not straw, light pale, let's go with that word. So that's kind of what you're aiming for. And that's going to differ for everyone in terms of what your hydration is going into today. But use that as kind of one of your guides. Electrolytes are a good idea. As well, I would just caution you if you like on salt packets. A lot of times people gravitate towards them, but you can overdo it, and that can cause a little distress on the course. Obviously, I'm speaking from personal experience. So yes, it was a great lesson. So I'm sharing it with all of you. Just be really mindful. I would use whatever kind of hydration electrolytes you like, whether it's Gatorade or Noon or whatever. Use what you've used previously in this training cycle, and then just make sure you kind of have water with you on your travel to the start line. Because I know sometimes people leave the house without water, and then it is a bit of an effort to get to the start, depending where you live. So please make sure you take hydration with you, and that will help as well.
Then get in line for the bathroom so you can, use it for the race. Let's see. Next, we have a question. What do you think about doing a slow jog to Prospect Park tomorrow morning if we live nearby? Use it as a nice shakeout, nice warm up. I think that's great as long as you're nice, as you mentioned, nice and slow jog. That's relative. So whatever you're, a 3 out of 10 effort level I'm talking about. It's nice and casual. I'll be doing a light walk run to the start line. So If you live close by, you're fortunate. You can probably sleep in a little bit later than someone maybe in the city, and you don't do the subway. So I think it's a great. Just keep it nice and easy. You know, bring that water for sure, because now you're running also, and maybe freeze it halfway, which is great because you cool yourself off, and you'll get a nice little warm up, which a lot of people are looking for at the start line. But you get it almost like just a freebie of a run beforehand.
Yeah, I'm a little envious.
Yeah.
You live close to Prospect Park, but the only thing I was going to add is please just make sure you take what you need with you, and water being the main thing tomorrow. And then just give yourself enough time still to kind of reset before the gun going off.
Don't just run to your corral. Give yourself a little time to decompress that.
Because the corral's closed, and you want to be respectful of those times.
Yeah. Great question, though. Great. We have Ebby. Thanks for adding the misting stations. You're welcome. Are there still 9 fluid stations or more added? So no fluid stations were added. We've just added the misting station along the way. So I think that might be still 9. I think it was the correct number. I maybe off 1 or 2. Gatorade and water stations, they're still on the map, which you can still reference. I think they're almost every mile and a half. I think mile 9 was the one that didn't have any, but check the course map. It could be a little bit off. So none were removed. We just added some misting stations for everyone. And then once again, the cold towels, ice cold towels at the end will also help you guys as you finish. And once again, please stay on top of NYRR social media, our website, and please keep your email open. Because if any changes do happen to the course, to the times, to you name it, we'll be posting those as soon as those confirmed. I have our safety team and leadership team is on top of the weather. We don't use the Apple weather system. We actually use meteorologists to figure out the best way to make sure you guys can get to the start line and the finish line as safe as possible. So please just keep an eye on our social media as close as possible between today and the race. And then obviously along the course, please note the flags. If it's green flags, if you see those at start, and every mile you'll notice those are just race normal, go at it. Yellow is the next level up, which is be cautious, slow down if you need to. The next level up from that will be the red flags, which is, I think, just it's extra extreme caution, so really maybe a run walk. Look for volunteers, what they're recommending. And then the last one is black, which is everyone stop running because we're going to probably cancel or stop the race for various reasons. So keep an eye on those flags. As of right now, they are green, but just keep those in your mind as you're running throughout the course.
Can I add one thing just to that? When you're thinking about the hydration stations, don't wait until you're thirsty. I've seen that too. You wait, and then it might seem like 5 miles before the next water station, even though it could be 800 meters up the road. So please just make sure you stay on top of your hydration, that you're utilizing those stations accordingly. Maybe you use a little on your head if you feel like you're getting a little warm. But please do not wait until you're thirsty.
Maybe every station grabs something, at least either in the mouth of the body. Somehow get it on you because of weather.
I think it's a good idea for tomorrow.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see, next, I think we had a shout out there. I think I saw from Edgar. I think it was what it was. Edgar, if you are watching, thanks for joining us. There it is. Edgar, it was great to see you at the pre-party and all the chats. So thanks for running. Is that all we had? Is all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us, Pam.
I love it.
It's been great. Last advice I know we talked about it earlier, but any other thing that has popped your head for runners to leave here with?
Just enjoy the day. It's your day. Embrace all the cheers. All of the volunteers are there to support you. The police officers are there to support you. The medical tents are there to support you. Like, use the support if you need it, but also just take it all in. It's such a great race. It's so special. And grab a hot dog on your way out of town.
Yeah, runners, congratulations, and we can't wait to see you. If you've not picked up your bib, please check out the RBC Brooklyn Half Pre-Party presented by New Balance at the Brooklyn Bridge Park Pier 2. I'll be later today. Come by, check out the Pacers, get some gear. We'll see you at the finish line in Coney Island. See you later.